I'm asking people individually, get on your path and do the difficult work. If you're not willing to do it, then you're responsible for where this planet is headed. Someone or something in relation to your next level through an experience that he invites you to. This is what conversations from the other side are like. I realized I was predicting their cycles because they're not changing.
I don't have to blame myself for not doing the inner work. I can blame you for not being accurate.
We're going to be tested this year, the next 7 months. That's another 7, but the next 7 months up until September of this year. You could get messages of hope, the Earth to Heaven channel. And now, once I had my own personal breakthrough, kind of elevated the work to helping people build their heaven on earth here. Because so many people that cross over, they have a lot of different regrets.
Now, before we jump into this episode, if this conversation resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share this with whoever you feel that needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep bringing this information out into the world and helps us awaken this planet. Thank you. I'd like to welcome to the show Marisa Liza Pell. How you doing, Marisa?
How are you?
I'm good, my dear. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm super excited to talk to you. We just had this wonderful pre-conversation to this interview, so we kind of got to know each other. I'm really excited about your adventures as a psychic medium and where you came from. So before, I wanted to ask you, my first question is, what was your life like before this insanity of being a psychic medium came into your life?
I would say that now I'm a little on sabbatical right now. I've kind of transitioned into a little more elevated work and having that as a foundation. But as far as my childhood goes, I was adopted. So I was thrown into 2 days old, adopted, and nobody was liking me in my family, like at all.
Cool.
So I just thought the stuff that I was picking up was normal. But my family was like, what is going on with you? I really don't like your friend. And they're like, well, the friend's awesome. I'm like, no, I don't think so. So since I was little, everything was kind of happening, but not to the degree that it started when I was 14. So 14, I had a spiritual experience. I come from a Catholic background. And so I had a religious, spiritual experience in a dream vision. And I woke up and I thought to myself, something had activated because I had a light beam kind of came from the sky, went into my chest. And it was the most euphoric experience I ever had in my life. And since then, things kind of started really activating after that experience.
So you didn't have anyone around you guiding you or supporting you. I guess not supporting you, but at least didn't guide you. So you didn't have a lineage of psychic mediums who were like, oh, honey, you just have the gift. None of that.
No. In fact, it was the complete opposite to where I'd get books on that, like from the bookstore in my teens. I came home one day, my mom had a barrel with all the books on fire. She's like, you need to go see a priest. Like a literal bonfire in the driveway. I laugh about it now, but all my books were being burned. All of them.
Wow. Yeah. Book burner. Wow.
But yeah, my mom was crazy.
She went hard. She went hard. She was so afraid from her background, so afraid of what she was witnessing. And I mean, when I was 26, I met my biological relatives. They were all from the same town within a couple miles away. And then I found out that it was, on both sides generationally, and I met everybody. And yeah, so it did exist, just not in my family that I grew up in. So as you were growing up, and you never felt it was weird, or did you when you said the psychic, you had this kind of event that happened and it kind of activated you. What does that mean exactly? Did you just have your premonitions started to come in? Did you start hearing voices? Did you see Uncle Bob walking around in his underwear in the kitchen, but he died 20 years ago? What exactly happened?
No, it wasn't like a Sixth Sense movie in my life. And I tell people that today. It's like, well, you're channeling all this stuff. I'm like, it's not like what you see in Hollywood with the dead people hanging from the ceiling. It was very subtle, and it was just a working part of my life. So I didn't know what I was doing was mediumship or psychic ability back then. The spiritual experience I had is still so vivid today that it just felt like I had been somewhere else and I woke up in my bed as a 14-year-old kid being like, I want to go home because I saw so many incredible things in that
Hmm.
vision. But it
Yeah.
wasn't like I, came back from that and all of a sudden, I'm having lightning bolts going through me or anything like that. It was just something that
Subtle.
was, well, it was incredible, the experience. But over the years, I had asked many, many people, like, do you have a picture of this? What does this mean? And nobody could really determine or give me an answer. So I kind of have to just keep it as an experience that I had. But it was very foundational for me, I would say.
So did you,
Yeah.
when you started to get a little bit more involved in your process, do you like start hearing voices in your head? Is it audible? Is it in your mind's eye? Like, how do you get the information that's coming in?
I just laugh because I'm just weird like that, but I'm like, oh, I might start getting like people hallucinations, like things happening to me. I was kooky, growing up, but I wouldn't say that anything really was any different from the time that I was younger till now. I just now understand what's going
What was
on.
happening? Uh-huh.
And my mom, she told me this recently. This was like a story that I didn't ever hear, but she's like, "Oh yeah, when you were 4 years old, you were sitting on your grandmother's couch and you were talking to somebody like out loud." And I'm like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm like, "You don't see them like talking to this
Oh, so
person."
you saw them. So you were
I
seeing
don't
them.
remember. I don't remember this. I don't
Okay.
remember at that age having any
Hmm.
visuals. But she said that I named them. I knew who they were. I was talking to them, having a full-fledged conversation, and that's when she's like, "Whoa, what's going on with this kid?" But she just recently told me that, like decades later, that happened. So, yeah, there was an 8-year period where I was doing radio, television, doing live shows, and she refused. She's like, I will not come and see you. I will not support this. Like,
Right.
basically, yeah. And so I had to get a ride 8 years later to an event because I was like not feeling well, and she had to take me there. And she propped the door open and sat like halfway in the room and halfway out, and what she saw like completely like blew her mind. To then she started like coming to the shows and helping out after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she was like became the biggest supporter after that once she saw like what people were
The
experiencing
reactions.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one woman, she was sitting against the wall and she had a Dale Earnhardt like NASCAR jacket on with a number that was like facing the wall. And her dad came through and mentioned the number and the jacket, and she pulled it out from behind her and showed. And my mom just like almost, she's like, I almost ran out of the room because I know you didn't see that. It
It's
was,
so it's I always find that fascinating about we talk a lot about on the show the programming you have when you grow up.
yeah,
As our
mhm,
parents, we come in basically almost as blank slates. We do have a lot of programming at the factory, as I like to call,
yeah,
but generally speaking, our personality, our belief system, the stories that we are told are what, you're born into a Catholic family, you're generally going to be Catholic. You're born into a Muslim family, you're going to be Muslim, and so on and so forth.
yeah,
And it could be communal, it could be country, it could be anything. But that programming, especially the religious one, I'm a recovering Catholic as
mhm.
well. So I understand that. I understand that programming quite well. It is obviously you were doing the devil's work. Obviously, demons are obviously coming through you. That's why they would burn
Well,
your books. I mean,
not
it's
according to
like,
some priests that I've talked to because I've given them readings. So
but
not
I'm talking
according to
about your
some of them.
mom.
My mom.
According to your mom,
Yeah.
yeah, according to your
Yeah.
mom, yeah, that's generally as
Yeah.
far as the lore goes or the
Yes.
dogma goes. You're
Yes.
obviously
Yeah.
the devil,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Something was wrong.
Something was wrong. You need to find Jesus. That's basically
Yeah.
basically what it is. But I find it fascinating how, because I've had again so many conversations with psychic mediums and with channelers who they have these parents or families that are religious, and some of them completely reject them and never accept them. But there's something that happens with many of them that they start the programming doesn't start to make sense anymore because it's a lie essentially. The programming is just basically the dogma of that specific story that they've been told. And that she saw you doing this and helping people and
Hmm.
affecting people, and the
Hmm.
abilities that you were doing were undeniable. And she could see that it wasn't evil or it wasn't in a negative manner. It was truly to help people. That shift in her programming must have just been so radical to the point where like, hey, can I help? But it took her a while to just even be brave enough to, like you said, half the door open,
Yeah.
like
She had to sit halfway in the room. Yeah.
just in case the devil showed up, I can make a bolt for
Yeah,
him,
I think that's
essentially.
what it was. If she had to run and bolt, like she thought maybe she'd see me levitating or spitting pea soup everywhere. She didn't know what was going to happen. So she was ready. She was ready to
let,
bolt.
let me ask you, there are a lot of intuitives and channelers and other kind of people who have these abilities who are watching right now who are in that pre-outing stage before you go out
Yeah.
before you come out of the closet, and may not have the support system that many do. You eventually had, but any advice for them who are listening, like how to deal with this, what's happening to them inside?
Well, could I go a little deeper into that for a second?
Please, please.
Because after moving into adding somatic practice to helping people build their heaven on earth is what I do now. I help people
Hmm.
tune into their own intuition. A lot of
Hmm.
people that are really gifted and are talented do have a sort of energetic trauma. So it could be little trauma, big trauma, but an energetic breach in their childhood. Okay.
Hmm.
So obviously, I was adopted. No matter if my adopted family was great, but no matter what, there's still an attachment wound that's
Of
breached.
course, of course.
So most people who develop these skills are highly sensitive. Usually it's a way to get out of themselves because they always have to play emotional laser tag, or they're always, surveying the room for safety or danger, whatever it is, looking at moods, just scanning their environment constantly. So all of a sudden these abilities become natural talents to a lot of these people. Every single person that I know in this industry who is a high level, trained high level or doing this high level has significant or even small traumas in their childhood. So I would suggest doing the foundational somatic work to get grounded back in your body, because it could be dangerous work if you're doing it from a space of disconnection from the body and the physical vessel, which I
Mm.
did for a long time, not knowing what I was doing, not knowing that I didn't have the foundational work within inside of me. And I was like really, talented at what I was doing, but for other people and not myself. So there was a lot of patterns replaying out in my life that I couldn't resolve. And I couldn't resolve the patterns playing out in my clients' lives, but yet we could connect to the other side and we could get messages of hope, the earth to heaven channel. And now, once I had my own personal breakthrough, kind of elevated the work to helping people build their heaven on earth here. Because so many people that cross over, they have a lot of different regrets. I wish I was more present. I wish I spent more time with my loved ones. I wish I didn't work so much. I wish I didn't turn out like my father, like I didn't want to. And there I was turning out like my father. So many people have to come back and do it again. And I wish I could have worked with them here to kind of break those patterns and generational cycles so that they could ascend many levels on the other side and then return. So there was so much I learned from doing my own like dark work, my own shadow work, my
Shadow
own,
work.
yeah, all that stuff. But really, I was operating from a very stuck nervous system from having,
Hmm.
stressful events in my life. And so I would tell people that are starting out, don't start with trying to learn how to do readings and learn how to do intuitive stuff. Learn how to get back in your body first. Learn how to regulate your emotions. Learn how to know what your felt sense is telling you about you, and
Hmm.
how you know where your compass is at, your GPS inside of you. Because after 25 years of doing this work, I had no connection to myself. So people would say, "Oh, Marissa, but you could throw the 100-mile-an-hour fastball and, oh, look at those hits." They call them hits. Like, look at what's happening. But it
Hmm.
wasn't changing my life. And it wasn't changing the people that were coming to me for intuitive sessions, because they're like, "Yeah, Marissa, what you're saying is true. I'd love to be able to step into that pathway." But they would laugh at me and they're like, "I'm not going to do it." And I'm like, "Why?" And they're
Why?
like, "I just
Yeah.
can't. I can't step into that because that road that they're hardwired in their body, the physical vessel was hardwired, and it was, short circuited a long time ago. And they didn't have their own correct internal GPS system to know what their own path was. And so everybody was off track and I couldn't get them on track. And that's when I had this jumping off, moment where I was like, wow, this is happening to me. This is happening to my clients. Getting readings is not helpful. Like, and I'm going to go against the industry. I don't care because I've been in it as long as I have, and say that if you don't have the capacity within your system to be able to step forward into those new things and have the capacity to hold those vibrations, you're just going to be cycling. And so I realized I had this like crazy moment where I said, oh my God, even though somebody's like, when's my next, Prince Charming coming? I'm like, oh, well, his name is Ronald. He's from Wyoming. He has leather shoes that have a point to them. He smokes cigars. He has a friend named Darren who's 57. Okay, let's just say. And they come to me a month later. Oh my God, I'm engaged. Like everything you said, right? Came true. A year later, they're coming back, and it ended just like the last Prince Charming that we talked about coming in that happened.
Because
So
she
I
wasn't ready.
realized,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
realized I was predicting their cycles because they're not changing on their pathway in life. They're not changing directions. They're not changing roads. They're not getting off different exits. So even though we could predict with great accuracy what's coming, if they don't do the inner work, it's gonna be a cycle, and they're not gonna get on a better path.
What I
So,
find, let me ask you this. What I find this is, and even I have a little bit of this happening to me as well, is that people
yep.
would like to, people are very easily give their power away to
Hmm.
others
Yeah.
because it's happened throughout the history of humanity, dictators, rulers, kings,
Hmm.
and even now going to a psychic medium, they basically show up. And again, like I said, I have a lot of friends who are psychic mediums, and they're kind of getting over it as well. They're like, no, like they come to you and they're like, hey, when am I going to meet my Prince Charming? When am I going to make it big? When am I gonna my career gonna do
Right.
this or that? Or how do I get out of this hole? How do I, get more money? And they want you as a psychic medium to tell them what to do. Literally, like, here's the roadmap, follow the guidance, and you're going to be fine. Because they don't want to do the inner work. And
Yeah.
also, it's a scapegoat because if it doesn't work, I don't have to blame myself for not doing the inner work. I can blame you for not being accurate. Is this a fair statement?
What you're seeing, and if you're really in tune, you are seeing an accurate path. So when they hit that, they're like, wow, everything she said like happened the way it was said to happen. But it's happening on a certain lane of the highway. It's happening as the destiny points they're hitting are on the vibration they're at. And if they don't change that vibration, they're not going to change their experience. So the psychic, if they are like reading their maps like intuitively, they're seeing it directly, they're seeing what's coming accurately. And it could be mapped out to be like, oh, yeah, this happened. But there's so many people that call, and I'm like, yeah, well, they want a partner in their life. A lot of it comes back to love. I did a lot of love readings for a long time. And, intuitive sessions are a whole different animal than pure mediumship sessions. So, like, the whole function is, and there's people doing psychic work that aren't really doing mediumship saying they're doing mediumship. I'm just saying there's a technicality to it.
Stop it. Stop it.
Technicality
What?
to it. Yeah. Technicality. I'm all about technicalities, all about evidence. But the thing is, like, there is a huge difference, and the channel is completely different. So there's an AM and an FM station. One's the receiving, one's a forward moving channel of gathering information on the earth plane. It's completely different. So when I had that realization that, wow, these were amazing hits, there was so much accuracy. People were coming back. I have a very loyal following. Most of my clients come to me after 20 years. I've seen them every single year, right? But they couldn't change the biggest patterns that were playing out. They
The
couldn't do
programming.
it.
Yeah.
And it was the same complaints over and over again. And I'm thinking, I remember watching this one client. She kept making more and more money in her industry. She was at the top of her game in, a real estate brokerage, like top of her game. Beautiful, right? Smart, intelligent, kind, compassionate. And she would call me. She went through a bunch of divorces. Then she would call me with every new boyfriend that she was getting. And she's like, Marissa, I can't even talk to anybody about this anymore because the cops just showed up at my house because the guy is such like low level, like loser. Like, and she's like, I can't even tell people about this because they would be like, what is wrong with her? Like, so I saw my clients actually cycling in a worse way over time. And all of that happened to me too. So I was like, I did what I did at the beginning of my career, which is a funny story. I told you that before,
Which we're going to talk, which we're
which
going to
we'll
talk
get
about in
about.
a minute.
And I said to the universe, all right, this is happening to me. This is happening to my clients. This is not helping people have their breakthroughs or stepping into bigger things like they need to be. Something is not, I'm missing something. I'm missing 25% of the formula here. How can I help myself break through? How can I help them? And I said, put me through it. Okay, put me through first, right? And oh, they did. Oh, they did. And it was a lot. It was not fun, but I had my breakthroughs. And then I stopped my business. I stopped my business for 3 years. I just shut down my business out of pure faith, shut it down, stopped taking clients because I needed to do my own work, right? And you can't be doing that with that.
While working. Sure.
And I called a bunch of these clients that I knew were good clients. I've worked with them. And I'm like, I want you to join this 12-month container that I have, just for a small amount of people. And I want to put you through this process. And within 2 weeks, I saw them breaking through and they couldn't do it in 20 years. So 2 months, completely different, right? Most of these people have kept renewing their time because I had that data. I'd worked with them. I saw what wasn't working through readings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that people were coming to me in fight or flight most of the time. They have their, moments where they don't know what to do. They're up against a wall. They're coming to me in survival mode and they want to have control of their future just in their mind. They want to have some
Mm-hmm.
relief. And that's not going to help long term. So I had to really redefine who I was channeling for, who I was giving information for, and completely deviate my pathways of earth to heaven is just earth to heaven. You want to know if somebody's coming through, give you the message, but we're not going there. But a lot of these people, the people at heaven come down and they'd say, don't live your life like me, do something different,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's generational. It's a cycle. It's a circle.
Sure.
And so then I had to pave this new way. And a lot of my clients ended up staying with me and a lot of my audience ended up staying. And there were people that were just they couldn't step into that new
They didn't
version
want to.
of the work
Yeah.
that I'm doing
Right.
because they wanted readings. They wanted me to do sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped for 3 years completely, built the program, did some testing, and then 5 years, I just recently went back on the stage. Just recently did
Wow.
it, yeah. Yeah.
So what's that funny story that we were talking about of when you got started? And I assuming, when did you actually decide to come out of the closet and publicly go, hey man, I'm a psychic medium now, and let everybody in the world know, in a public way, that you're doing this kind of work? And how was it hard for you to do that?
I think as a kid, I didn't ever have any qualms about it. I would tell everybody that I was doing. Yeah.
But when you came out as a professional, meaning you started a business and all that stuff, you were very out. So it wasn't a big deal for you.
No, I didn't think there was anything to come out with because it's just something I lived with my whole life. And
Fair enough.
Like a interest. I didn't feel in any way. I felt like people that didn't see or do things like I was doing it really were kind of not awake in the world. I didn't really think of it as anything wrong. But yeah, I had been doing this stuff ever since I was
Forever.
a teenager. So it really was always in the background, I would say. There wasn't a point where it just didn't exist. And all of a sudden, I didn't ever try to do this. I didn't ever try to pursue this as a career. I didn't ever try to force myself into this industry. It came after me. I did not in any way plan this in my life.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
I didn't. Yeah. It wasn't like I set out to become, to have these abilities. No. Or to do it as a career. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So what was that when you got started? What was that story you were talking to me about, which is genius?
Yeah. So my life resembles a weird film. You and I think in terms of movies and films, and I think of how weird the story is. But I went to college like a normal kid, and then I started to actually, in between college and graduate school, I had one job, and I said, I don't ever want to work for anybody again. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want to ever have to do this again. But
Mhm.
I got fired from that job because I told the guy, I told him,
Mhm.
I was like, I did work with promotions for him. Like I had events at this brewery place that I
Mhm.
worked at. I was the promotional director.
Mhm.
And I was like, you would really do well if you had a psychic fair here. So he and he was like, you're crazy, blah, 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 this and that. And I like put it all together, advertised it, and tons of people came. And then afterward, I was like, kind of, it was like an I told you so moment. He didn't like that too much. And so
Yeah.
I was gone. But yeah, I was always doing stuff like this, putting it together, doing stuff. And then I decided, I had a moment where I had some things I was interested in the film and television production area. And I did what I do with everything in my life. I said, okay, I'm going to put one thing out there. If I get in, I'm going. If not, I'm staying. Like that's how I determined my life. And I got in. And then I moved to Boston for to pursue a master's degree in TV, film, and media production. Right. So that was
Mhm.
like, this is what I want to do. Knew it in my heart. Did a lot of stuff in the creative industry at that point. Now, I wanted to have a little job when I was in grad school, and I said to myself, I tried, I was a waitress and bartender for a long time. I was like, you know what? I just don't want to do this and go to school. And around the corner, right around the corner from class, there was an old school tea room, a Boston tea room with the psychic doing people reading tea leaves and doing readings. So I marched over there like 19 years old, like went up the little staircase. There people smoking, like looking at me like, what's this kid doing in here? Because everybody had the beads, they had the beads and the crystals. And I'm walking in, there's little blonde hair and a little like soda in my hand. I'm like, oh yeah, I'd like to read too, like while I'm going to school. So the guy took me in the back and he wasn't the nicest guy, right? Took me in the thing. He's like, okay, do your thing. He's like, how did you learn to read like this? I'm like, I
Mhm.
didn't. Like nobody taught me. I had no support. John Edward wasn't even out yet at the time. Nobody was around. So
Mhm.
it wasn't mainstream. So he's like, all right, you can work here. He was kind of like, how are you doing this? And so I was going to class, doing film and television stuff, and then going in around the corner working at the tea room. And then it got a little weird over there. So there was this spiritual center in Boston. They're still active, and I ended up going there. And by the time I left, there was a line out the door because I was moving. And so like there was a lot of validation for a
Mhm.
long time, and I still wasn't doing it. I didn't think professionally. So I was offered a dream job, like a dream job in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
because I psychically told my then a guy I was dating that if he stayed in Massachusetts, things weren't going to go well for him. So I told him the name of the company and where he was going. I said, you got to call, you got to move to Philly, right? So he's like, you're crazy. Like we're eating like clam chowder. I'm like, you got to just move. Like, and he's like, he's seen me do stuff. So he called the guy and I'm like, I'll just come to support you down in Philly, like when you go for this interview. So I'm sitting in the waiting room, and this guy's like, hey, you, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm just supporting him. What do you do? Come on in. He's like, I really want him at my company. What do you do? And I told him, he goes, you want your dream job? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I'm going to make a few phone calls. Like this is literally like a cartoon life that I lead, but this really does happen. So he made a phone call right then and there because he wanted him to work for his company. He called. He was like, all right, you're going to be the associate producer on this really famous home and garden show that's on HGTV. I'm like, no, like you got to be kidding me. It's a dream. It's a dream. So I went and left Boston, packed all my stuff. I had a little coupe at the time, packed all my stuff on a U-Haul. It was my third interview with the company, got an apartment, showed up. The president of the company did not show up. I had moved my whole life to Philly. Then they called me a couple days later and was like, sorry, you don't have a job. So for a year, I was like pounding the pavement with this master's degree, could not get a job anywhere, even in a mailroom.
Mhm.
They wouldn't hire me. They're like, you're too qualified to work in a mailroom. I'm like, are you kidding me? Just give me a job. It was crazy. And the one guy threw my resume on a pile. He's like, do you know how many people want to work here? And I'm just like, oh my God, this is insane. And that
Mhm.
person ended up producing a television pilot for me years later. And I never
Mhm.
told him. He was the DP on the pilot. And I'm looking at him being like, you have
You don't
no
remember.
idea. You have
You don't
no
remember
idea.
me.
No. And he was like all nice to me and stuff, but I was like, this guy was total jerk, like wouldn't give me a job, right? So anyway, it was about a year later. I couldn't, and I was getting more and more and more depressed. And I walked outside, sat in my car. I actually slept in my car that night. I'm like, universe, no matter how like weird it is, no matter what you want me to do, obviously I'm not on the right track. So I don't care how weird it is. Just put something in my path and I'll know like this is what I have to do. The very next day, so I was still doing a lot of my creative performance work. I did a lot of, improv comedy. I did a lot of theater stuff, like just, my own creative stuff that I love to do. And I had an agent back in where I used to live in Boston. And he called me up. He's like, I really need your help tomorrow. And I'm like, what, Pete? Like, what, what is it? And he was like, just don't question anything. I just want you to show up. 5:30 in the morning, Comcast Arena in Philly. And just wear like black leggings and like a tank top. I'm like, Pete, what? Like, he's like, I'll make it up to you. Just go. And so I remembered what the universe said. I was like, I guess I have to show up tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning. I get there and it's this famous wing bowl eating competition that happens every year in Philadelphia, right? It's wing bowl. And there's sportscasters and these women were in like, you know, like not so like very skimpy outfits that were had to escort the wing guys up to eat their wings and pour their water. I called him up. I went into the green room and I'm like, I am not, first of all, dressing like that. I'm keeping on my clothes. And second of all, you want me to go up and like fill this guy's water. He's like, I'm going to introduce you to this famous sportscaster in Philadelphia after the show to make it up to you. And you could go on and do like readings on his show. I'm like, you better make it up to me, Pete. You better make it up to me. So they gave me probably the worst guy in the whole lineup. He had a big SpongeBob t-shirt on, huge beard. He was nasty. Okay. He wasn't one of the happy wing eaters. And let's just say that after eating a bunch of wings, he didn't do so well. And I had to keep filling the water. And that beard got a little dirty. Okay. So,
Oh, good Lord.
right.
Okay.
Right. So Pete really didn't have my best interest in mind at that point. So I marched up to him after I'm like, you better be making this up to me. I cannot believe you made me do this. He introduced me to this guy, Angelo Cataldi, who was, a sportscaster in Philadelphia. And he's like, all right, just come on my show tomorrow at 7 a.m. Started asking me questions about sporting events, started asking me to predict Eagle stuff, NFL stuff, NBA.
No.
Yeah. And I just happened to be right. Okay. I just happened to start being right. And I'm like,
Nailing it.
I cannot keep this up. Right. So he's like, well, Valentine's Day coming around. Why don't you start predicting people's love lives? So people were coming on and he was loving it. He was like loving it. So then next door, Mike Missinelli was on the show next door and he had a big sports show. And he was like, heard me on that show. He brought me on his show. Ended up talking about some medical stuff that was going on in a surgery one of the guys had. And so he liked me as a person. He thought I was funny, and he just enjoyed the banter. He ended up getting into a fight with one of his producers the next day and then went on to MMR in Philly, and they had the Philly Guys morning show for years. And then he called me up and he's like, I want you to come on there regularly. And so Psychic Tuesdays was my segment, and it was morning drive. I had to be like every 10 seconds we had callers, and I had to be on and quick and to the point. And then we had Joe Conklin, who's a comic, on there, and Vinny the Crumb. Right, they were all guys that would rail me like daily, dudes, locker room Philly, like sharks. Okay.
Oh,
So this wasn't like a new age boot camp. This wasn't like, oh, like let's go to a mind body spirit fair and like channel the angels. No, this was hardcore. Like, you better get these calls right, like on point within 5 seconds, every single one, and go. Like, and they were convinced, they got convinced, but I had to do that every week. I had to produce every single week. So I learned quickly how to be fast and get stuff right away. And they would like freak out. Like, they would give me, if I was not doing well, I know what would happen, but like the fact that I was, they would even like push me even more. So then, that's when everything opened up for me. Yeah,
Wow.
it was crazy. But the comic, we had like a love, like he didn't like this stuff, so he would always annoy me like on the show, and like we
And you
hated
would
each
hit him
other.
back. And you hit
Oh
him
yeah,
back. Yeah.
yeah, because I knew how to, if I could make it there
You can make it
on
anywhere.
those with those guys, because they would not let you slide. They would get on you.
Well, it's just like
Yeah,
basically you were on Howard Stern, essentially, almost. Like it's kind of
I
like
mean, yeah, it was
yeah,
worse.
Baba Booey is like nailing you every like saying things all the time, hitting you
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff. So that is trial by fire. I've never heard of a psychic medium on a Philly sports morning show doing segments like that with a non-supportive environment, essentially.
Well, they were.
You,
I became like
yes, yeah, yeah.
they did take me in as one of their own, and
But they
yeah.
would. But if you got something wrong, they would call you on it.
I'm saying if I wasn't doing the calls to the level I was doing it, I don't think I'd be there too long, honestly. And I think
That's
I'd be probably humiliated on air. I'm sure I would have been.
wow. So you were so. I guess you were so young, and
22.
naive. Yeah,
Mhm.
22, naive. You really don't understand the risks that you were taking because it could have
No.
destroyed. Because it could have destroyed any reputation or any chance of you doing it in that market ever again. Because
Yeah.
you're just putting yourself out there in a way that, like, if you hit it out of the park. But if you swing
Yeah.
and miss, it's over. It's like over.
Yeah. And
It's not
they
even three
would,
strikes.
no, there weren't three strikes, and they would like freak out with like callers and stuff. And yeah, it was pretty
Pretty
insane.
intense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you from your point of view, because we've talked a lot about the psychic aspect of things, and I'm assuming when we say mediumship, it's like you're getting messages from loved ones on the other side, essentially,
Yes,
correct?
correct. Correct.
Okay. So it's like grandma's in the room. She says, go to the third drawer on the left. That's where you're going to find the heart pendant kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Kind of. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a kind of, yeah. I mean, using that as an
Yeah.
example, it's like,
Yeah.
and say those kind of things. Um, from your understanding, what is a what way can we, if we want to connect with our loved ones on the other
Mm.
side, what can we do? Because if not everyone is lucky enough to have a medium to talk through. So a
Mhm.
lot of times they'll send messages, they'll send, through a song on the radio, butterfly hits
Yeah.
your wind, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
all the time. What are ways that we can open communications with our loved ones who want to kind of send us messages or guidance as we're walking through this insanity called life?
Yeah. I always tell people get weird. Just get weird and tell them the weirdest thing that you could possibly see, because everybody sees pennies, everybody sees rainbows. Like, let's get specific here, because
Mhm.
you can connect with them just as much as I can. And believe it or not, I need somebody to communicate for me. I can't just
Yeah,
like
that's a
I'm
yeah,
not objective enough, right? So it's like, is
right.
this a sick joke that I can't find anybody to like do what I've
Read
done for
you.
thousands of people, right? Because in this industry, I'm sure you've known a lot of us in this industry. It is a very lone wolf type of thing. Like
Oh,
yeah, there's not much support in the industry. It's like there's no clans that go around. Like everyone's kind of on their own, and it's kind of like every man for himself a lot of the times, even though people say it's not. It is sometimes. It is.
it's like Hollywood. It's like Hollywood.
It is. We can play nice, but eventually,
Yeah.
so strong. It's very strong energy that all of us have to work with. So I would tell people that you have the ability just as much as I do to get signs and get things from the other side. But I tell people, be specific. Like, be very weird about what you want to see. Be like, I want to see the word, ruby somewhere, like whatever
Mm.
you deem appropriate. And once you see patterns in your life, like you determine to them, they don't determine it. You determine to them, like, oh, if you show me a nickel with the tail side up, I know it means that I'm on the right path. So you determine it to them. Like, this is
Interesting.
how I want you to communicate with me, and show
Hmm.
me like if I need some caution or if I'm moving in the right direction, if I'm on track. And so I always tell people, like, you define your own like dictionary of what everything means and the symbols to them. And now when
Hmm.
you're doing mediumship, when you're actually communicating, There's universal symbols that we can interpret as meaning different
Sure.
things. Like if
Mhm.
I see a birthday cake with a slice cut out, just from my own dictionary of terms, usually means that the birthday just passed. If I see a full cake, usually it's coming up, right? But every medium might see birthday cakes in a different way and have different interpretations.
So let's stop there for a second. So when you're doing a reading, so let's say you're doing a reading for me,
Yeah.
it's not like there's a conversation happening. There's images that come in, and you
Mhm.
interpret the images as they come in. So, like you just said, a cake with a slice out for you in your understanding means there's a birthday coming up, or a birthday just passed, and a full cake is a birthday coming up. So those are the kind of things that you will see. So if and a lot of times, from what I understand, mediums too, they're like, like I see a coffee cup. Does that mean anything to you? And they'll
Mhm.
say, "Oh yeah, I mean my Aunt Joan died because a coffee cup hit her in the head." Like, "Oh, okay, great." Because so you might not have a reference point of what you're seeing, and you ask them, or you really understand what comes in for you at
Well,
least.
I wouldn't do something general like that because
Okay.
you're kind of putting it on the client to interpret it in their own frame of reference, which wouldn't be really what that person on the other side, like they're in control. They're the ones sending the message.
Hmm.
So it appears like if I'm doing a session with you, it appears like I'm talking to you, but I'm really not. Like I'm actually receiving images, sounds, words, thoughts, feelings, almost like a funnel of like all this data. And I have to
Hmm.
try on different interpretations because they might send me something where it doesn't make sense. Like it's random. I don't have a dictionary for it. And I have to try it on and kind of be like, is it this interpretation? Is this before I give it? I have to try on five different interpretations to see what really could make sense to them. Like an American flag could mean 10 different things, right?
Of course, of
So,
course.
right. So I'm not going to say to the person, I'm getting an American flag, you figure it out. Like, no,
Interesting.
I'm
Okay.
going to say, okay, what are you trying to tell me? I'm like, well, he's giving me the feeling like this American flag like was connected to him and maybe you have the flag or whatever. But if
So it's
we go
really
through
specific. It's real
really
specific.
specific and if it's not the person's job unless you're getting something like so random. Like one time I got a vat of pea soup and I was like, I'm sorry, lady. Like, I don't know how to interpret this. Did your husband eat pea soup? Like, what? I knew
Yeah.
her husband passed, right? So I'm like, I just have to give you the pea soup. She's like, oh my God, that was his hobby. He made vats of pea soup every day for people, like before he died. And I'm like, oh, okay. I remember one time I saw a 2 liter bottle of Pepsi, and it's like, that's, a very, like, what is it like Pepsi?
Generic. Yeah.
Yeah, very generic. Well, it turned out he loved Pepsi so much he was buried with Pepsi. Like the 2 liter was in the casket, right? But I would have like, it's kind of like sometimes the people on the other side are better at communicating to mediums than others. They have better abilities to project the images, to send the thoughts. It depends on what level they're at, what
Mm,
frequency.
I've
So
never heard
they
that
determine
before.
it. Yeah, they
Yeah, never.
determine it.
I never heard that the other side. You just think like, well, you're dead. You're on the other side. You're a soul now.
No,
You all are created equal, but just
no,
like the soul of an ascended master like Jesus or Buddha probably has a different level of abilities even on the other side because they've evolved. Their soul
correct.
has evolved to a certain level that they're going to be able to communicate at a completely different level than a soul that's obviously not enlightened or has not reached that level. I never really thought about it that way.
Yes.
So Uncle Bob and Aunt Sue could be completely different on this. They could have been in the same level here, but spiritually on the other end, Aunt Sue has been she's done 25 more lives, let's say incarnations, and they might. I'm just using this as a
Yeah, yeah,
general thing, but
yeah.
they're just at a different level of communication, or even learn the ability to communicate differently than Uncle Bob did. Let's say.
As far as communication goes of how they project stuff to us, a lot of people are like, well, I'm more clairvoyant or I'm more clairaudient or I'm here,
Mhm.
right? But as far as mediumship goes, like those are great intuitive abilities to have. You have to be well versed in all of them because they determine what strengths they have and how they feel most comfortable projecting. So it's kind of
Mm.
like there's people in life, they're talkers, they're verbal
Yeah, sure,
processors.
sure,
There's
sure,
people in
sure, sure.
life that send analogies or more visual, right? Their personality doesn't change once they've crossed over. If they really were not good with words they really weren't a words person, they're probably not going to use that specific type of communication to get the message across. They might use a symbol, they might use a feeling if they're not a
Hmm.
words person. So you have to, people think it's the other way around, but it's really,
Hmm.
they determine how they're sending it, and you have to be able to receive it in any way possible and then interpret it. So you have to really technically build up those other skills that maybe are, not your strong points.
So, from what I understand, you could be a psychic and not a medium, but you cannot be a medium without being a psychic.
Well, you have
Is
to
that it?
have, yeah, you have to have like accessing ability to access those different types
In a
of
medium, right?
abilities to
Sure.
receive information, which clairaudient is, through visuals. I'm sorry, clairvoyance through visuals,
Hmm.
clairaudience through, music or sounds or words, and then like a feeling or just a knowing. Like sometimes they won't give me very specific things. They might just give me a feeling or a smell.
So,
Yeah,
do you mind? I think it would be fun for the audience. Do you mind doing a small reading for me just to see the process and I can kind of validate kind of live in this
sure.
conversation? Because I'm just curious. The audience knows I don't really rarely ever ask for readings on air because I think it's bad form for the guests to like get a free reading or something. But this is more about like I'm really curious about how accurate you're going to be, how quick you're going to be, because you're the way you said it and set yourself up as this like morning talk show psychic and medium who could pick up things. Like I'm really curious to see how it could be. So I think it'd be fun. So go ahead. Let me
So,
tell me what you need from
yeah.
me.
So my question to you is, I'm going to turn it around just for a split second.
Go for it.
You said you don't ever do this. Why are you doing it with why are you doing it with me?
Because I haven't, because of the speed and the accuracy that you said
Oh,
that you were able to
okay.
do. Because
Okay.
I've had psychic readings and channeling readings from every spectrum, from like the broadest of the broad to the most pinpoint like
Yeah.
ridiculousness I've ever heard. So
All right.
it's just going to be a psychic reading or a medium or someone's coming through.
I'm
You
good.
tell me whatever.
So we're going to do a little bit of everything, if that's
All
okay
right,
with
let's see
you.
what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have
So
fun. It'll be fun.
I like to have a focal point for you
Hmm. Hmm.
to ask a question, like just a
Go
question,
for it.
very specific question. I might not even answer it, but I like to actually tune in to what your kind of focus would be rather than, oh, just in general, anything.
Sure,
So
sure,
do you
sure.
have a question about like your career, your love life,
It's
anything?
it's it's always anytime I ask questions, I really don't care as much about my personal journey. I have nothing but
Okay.
faith about that. Always more concerned about the company, about the show, about what we're
The
doing, how
company.
we're
Okay.
like yeah next level soul, how we're growing, what can we do to reach more people, what's the path of the show and specifically the company around the show and all the other things that we do because my mission is to try to bring this information out to as many millions of people as possible and make it not a weird thing, make it a very common thing, which it's going to be eventually. And it's becoming more and more commonplace now with channeling and psychic mediums and so on than
Okay.
it was 20 years ago, as you said. So that's
Right.
my focus is next level. So I don't care about my
Okay.
my personal journey. I'm good.
Okay. So I'm probably not going to tell you what's coming through is completely opposite of what you're asking, but it
Tell
has
me.
to do with the next level. Okay. So
Okay.
first of all, I want to talk about just some tightness that I'm feeling in the body. Okay. So I'm
Hmm.
getting something, and this is the restriction. These are the stuck points that maybe are like actually contributing to the lack of expansion. So I feel like you've hit a ceiling, right? I feel like you've hit a ceiling of where like creatively, like you're at the top of your game, right?
Right.
There's still
Right.
more to do, but I feel in your body, there's a little bit of a ceiling. Like there's
Uh,
the capacity that you have. Okay. So,
I think you're not too far away from that.
right.
Yes.
So, but we're there. We're there. So it's like, where am I going to go? I feel like we're already there. So I'm feeling more stuff coming up around that, which I'll get to in just a minute. So
Hmm.
the name Frank is coming up too. Now, Frank could be living or past. So that could be Francis, Frank, Francesca, but it could be a living or past person. So I just need you to tell me, is that person that you know or who's coming into mind first, is that person living or past and the connection to you?
So I don't have any Franks that I can think
Okay.
of, or Francis's, or Francesca's, or anything like that
Even a
in my
Frank on the
life.
earth plane that you work with, somebody that's connected to the show, anything. And you could
Nothing.
come up with this later if you wanted to.
Yeah, and so a
Okay.
lot of times
Yeah.
that happens. But yeah, I don't know of any Frank that I can remember right off the top. I have a cousin Frank, but I haven't talked to him in years.
See, that's what
So
people do. They say, but I haven't talked to them in years, so it doesn't really connect. But
yeah,
there is somebody, Frank, that you do know,
I'm
right?
sure
So
I'm trying to think if there's in any Frank. I'm just trying to think of a Frank, a
yeah.
guest on the show or a producer or
Now,
in my
Frank could be Francis, last name, or it could be first name Frank. But these are the things that I give that most people can't get like immediately.
right
They have
away.
to think about it.
Sure, sure.
Um, but
We can keep
Frank
going
is
and it might come up. Might come up after as we
now.
keep
Tell me
talking.
about the cousin. Is that person alive?
But
Okay,
I mean, I have no relationship with him.
that's okay. What side of the family?
Dad.
Okay, and dad's living.
Yes.
Okay. So there's something. What's interesting is dad's coming up for me too. So I have to go into stuff with your dad. Now I'm going to bring up this Frank. They're yelling at me. They're saying Frank over and over and over again. Okay, like you're not getting it. You're not getting it.
I'm
So you
probably
got to.
not getting it. I'll
Okay,
think
but
about it. I'll think about
this is
Frank.
something, and I'm going to try it on. This is something that I'm getting connected to the podcast, to your career, to your trajectory. So this is someone
Hmm.
that you've met, I believe, in the past, not an immediate family member, not a friend, not even an acquaintance. I feel it's in the business sphere, like the business sphere. And
Okay.
this is someone that may have proposed something to you before. They look like they have like financial background, something in the financial sector, because I see like numbers around them and I'm getting like all these numbers and it looks like I don't know if there's a portfolio connected to it or numbers, but I'm getting something with accounting or numbers with this person Frank who wanted like who is connected to the business.
I know a Franco.
A what?
A Franco. I know Franco.
Okay,
There's a
that's
guy
fine.
in my life. His name's Franco. Um, he's a money guy, but in the movie industry.
Correct.
Yes, I know Franco.
So,
Yes,
okay, you know Franco, you love Franco. This is
yes,
the Franco I'm talking. I'm sorry I didn't get the O, but I got the Frank.
got it. Fair enough.
So,
Fair enough. Yeah,
okay,
it just came to me. I'm like, oh, I mean, does she meet Franco? Yeah, yeah.
it came to you because intuitively you're getting it too. You kind of relaxed enough to let it come down. Oh, and your shoulder up in your traps area, you actually
Huh.
sleep wrong. You need a different pillow. You get like a tension in your neck when you wake up. And I'm getting something in your shoulder, and you're like this, and there's a trap issue. Like you even massages don't help. So there is a little bit of to a slip disc, like a little bit of a disc issue, but it's corrected itself over the course of like 7 years because it happens like about 7 years ago, corrected itself after 7 years, but it's still a little slightly off, which is giving you a little bit of pain down the one meridian. So sometimes you get like a slight pain going down, but you're going to be fine. It's just once you stop laughing, you're making me laugh.
No,
Um,
because as you're telling me all of this, she's like, how the hell does she know this?
well, you
Like,
talk to many psychic mediums. Don't they all tell you this stuff? Right?
not specifically, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm a medical intuitive too. I'll just throw that in
Okay,
there. So,
sure.
Franco, let's get back to this because this is what happens normally when I get names. A lot of people, they might get a name and somebody says no, they're going to move on. They're going to be like, oh, I'm wrong. You know, I don't do
Mhm.
that. Like when I get it, I will come back to it over and over again, and I will keep at it with you until I get it because I know that I'm trusting them over I'm trusting you to remember everything, right?
Okay, okay.
That's the difference between somebody that's a little bit more technical in this field and somebody that's going to give up after being like, oh, I didn't get something right. Well, people can't remember everything, especially when you're doing a podcast all at once. But it does connect. So let me go back to the pain that I'm getting. So sometimes that like nerve pain might go down and you're like, ooh, like what's that? But then it's like goes away for a while. But the stomach issue is where I feel like the somatic release needs to happen. So if I were going to work with you, I would work
Mhm.
with you to actually put you into the right space for your highest level alignment with the show or where things are going in your career. I would work with the body first because then that's going to attract that frequency is going to attract you once we release that effortlessly. You're not going to have to like really move toward that. Right. So I
Mhm.
would work with you somatically. I actually want to work with you somatically because it would completely take that ceiling and break through it like immediately. It
Okay,
happens in the body because the physical vessel you're holding all that you can hold. Okay.
pretty much.
So, okay. Now wait a second. I'm getting more. I'm getting more. Hold on. See how fast I have to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trained this way. Just tell me to slow down if you need
No,
me to
no,
slow
no.
down.
Come on, come on. I love
Okay.
this. This is great.
Now we got No, I have to go back to Franco. I have to give you the message about Franco. Okay. Plus, I'm getting cigar smoke and cigarette smoke. Okay. Somebody's coming through from the other side. Somebody who's a huge smoker, but I smell cigar smoke. I'm getting Italian. Anyway, so back to Frank. Now, the trajectory of what I'm seeing at your highest level pathway, right,
Uh-huh.
is film again.
I know.
Okay. Oh, but you're telling me you don't. You
No,
didn't
no,
frame
no,
your
no,
question that way.
no, no,
But
no, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no. I know because that's where I'm going. I've come back
Okay.
full circle. I've come back full circle.
Okay.
I didn't know about Franco. Franco is like a friend from the film industry that I haven't talked to about this stuff yet. But yeah.
You're going to be, well, he's already, I think about, I'm getting a three, so it could even be 3 months, 3 years ago, but I think there was like, you guys were circling around each other, like just
Oh
a
yeah.
little bit here and there.
Oh yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like he's been wanting to like work with you on something or do something, but he's very meticulous. He's very like to the book, very, and you're not going to get anything past him. You're not going to get $1 past him if you have a budget. Like it's just the way it is with Frank, but
Mm-hmm.
he knows what he's doing. You have more solid, I think, connections, but I think he holds the ground. Okay. So like you could trust him, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number
Mm-hmm.
two, I see the podcast reaching its peak. Okay. And it's going to be here. It's going to be held in the space that it's in. It's doing very well. I see even a little more advertising and stuff coming, a little more stuff. But where you're going next creatively is a film. I'm also getting the name Ronald or Ron.
Okay.
And if you don't know it, that's fine. Ronald or Ron. Ronnie? Rhonda? Ronnie?
Not off the top of my head. Let me see if I can figure that.
Okay,
That one's
that's all right.
a little tougher. Yeah. I don't know a lot of Ronnies or
Okay,
Rons or Rondas.
this person is in production, almost like lower level production.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel I'm getting this person as a production team member that could really help you actually keep everything in place for the podcast. I feel this is like a producer or somebody who's like an assistant producer, somebody that's coming in. I feel has a really weird hairline. Okay. So I'm getting like dark hair, but like it's like a Vulcan hairline. And
Okay.
he's real weird. He's real quiet. He has really weird, like thin rimmed glasses with like gold around it, but he's really good. So even though
Okay.
he's weird, and he always has like, he might even have a fanny pack that he wears, or like he loves fanny packs. Like just disregard the weirdness. I feel like he's going to be really
Kill
good
it.
for you. And a, this could even be a feature film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing something about a Netflix project coming up for you as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But you need to be in control of that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be in control of the contract. So you
Yeah.
need you need to have an advisor who is male, not female, because I see a woman with like curly or wavy-ish hair that could be on the legal side of either your team or their team. And I feel like that person would disrupt the whole process. I feel you being very, very connected to a young boy that you would mentor. Okay. Like somebody who would really have, like, there's a young man. I would say he's not even like 18 at the moment. That's very talented podcaster, somebody going into the industry. And I feel like you're going to be a mentor to a younger person next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But, okay. Is Frank connected to a Robert or Bob? Is there a connection to him?
I'm sure he does, but I know a bunch of Roberts. I know a bunch of Bobs.
Mhm.
But Franco, I'm sure is connected to somebody like that. Sure.
Is there a Bob that is very significant to you right now?
No, not that I can think
Oh.
of a Robert or a Bob.
You
I
just
don't
said you
think
know a
so.
lot of Bobs, so I'm just wondering which
I
one
do,
comes to
but
mind.
that's like because of so many interviews and
Yeah.
acquaintances and things like that. But as far as let me see here, Robert, Robert. No, he's not. No. I'm just kind of I'm literally going through my contact list. Oh yeah, Robert. Yeah, I have a Robert. I'm
Significant.
gonna.
I mean, it's
He's
not like an immediate family member, not even a close friend, but an
no, but
acquaintance.
there's a Robert that I work with a lot, and he's come on the show a bunch of times, and
Yes. Yes,
yeah
he's been on the
yeah
show.
he's been on the show a ton of times, and I have a great relationship with him, and but we're more of just like a host. He's invited me to go to places, and I haven't gone to him yet.
Yes.
He invited me to go to the Great Pyramid and sleep in the Great Pyramid, in the King's Chamber, and I want to go, but it's just scheduled. So he does it like twice a year. He invited me like basically a full ride almost, to do it, and I just haven't. I'm a little scared, honestly, but I
Yeah.
want to go.
Right. So they're stepping into these bigger things requires release from the body. That's really the capacity in the body is you are at capacity. So stepping into the film, stepping into the Great Pyramids, doing all these bigger things, even though you're at the top of your game here, we need to get you to release some of those stuck points in the body to move toward and be able to like hold the vibration of being
Hmm.
able to move toward those things. So really, really important. But there's a reason Bob is in your life, and it's
Hmm.
beyond just a host and podcast situation.
Hmm.
You're supposed to hit a destiny point through him and meet someone or something in relation to your next level through an experience that he invites you to. So it's kind of like, yeah, why you laugh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, I literally had somebody, a guest, come on the other day, and he just came back from Egypt with him. He's a
Okay.
very big doctor and stuff,
Yeah.
and the people that Robert invites to these things, it's like so. I mean, it's like a group of 20 or 30 of the most interesting human beings on the planet, and
Right.
you spend like 7 to 10 days with them together. And I'm sure that if when I go, I'm going to meet somebody there that might really open me up to other things. So yeah, there's no question about that. That's why I laugh because I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's a stepping stone. It really is like a stepping stone into
Hmm.
the someone you're supposed to meet is on the other side of this guy.
Hmm. Sure,
So like
because he knows everybody. He knows everybody.
but
Yeah.
it's already destined. It's already predetermined. So you can
Okay.
skip this but like the way to get there is through like developing more like internal capacity to kind of get there, right?
When you say internal capacity, that's so interesting because it really is about. I'm literally. I'm just done. I'm like full.
Yeah,
Like I
you're done.
can't.
Yeah,
I can't
right.
go. I I feel like this thing there's something holding me down and I want to break free, but I can't. It's so amazing that you've said that because that's exactly how I feel
Yeah.
with my physical body, with the career, where we're trying to grow. There seems to be something like, can't I can't, like, it's something that's stopping me, or slowing me down dramatically,
So
which I've been told.
basically it's like
Yeah.
a cat, like a dog electric fence. You only have this much capacity, right? In
Right.
your
Right.
system. And then somebody's going to say, "Oh, come sleep at the Great Pyramids," right? And you're gonna hit that electric fence, and it's going to zap you, and you'll be like, I want to, I really want to, and I really desire to, but I can't right now." Like it just there's stories that you tell yourself. So all of these things, if you imagine like a red electric fence, all those things within the red electric fence are the things you're holding capacity for. But there's tension in your body because there's no more capacity to hold more or to step into
Hmm.
the bigger fulfillment, the bigger dreams because of that stuck stuff, that stuck
Hmm.
energy blocks. That I'll just keep it simple, stuck energy blocks in the system, right?
Hmm.
So everybody thinks, well, I need to get a psychic reading to figure out the next step. But what if you can't step into the next step? Why is that? Nobody's taught how to get there. So you might know what your exact dreams are. You might not need a psychic to tell you what those dreams are. You might hold them, you know. There's a guy speaking Spanish to me here too. He's coming through. There's somebody speaking Spanish.
Yeah. I'm Cuban.
Oh, well, I thought you were, you look Italian to me, so I wouldn't have thought you were
I'm
Cuban.
Cuban. I'm
Okay.
Cuban.
Well, there's somebody over here speaking Spanish to me.
Does he
Okay.
smoke
So,
cigars?
yeah, I'm getting the cigar smoke.
I know who it is. Go ahead.
Okay. Just tell me the relation to you, just in like, who's the, like, is it,
He's my
who's the,
grandfather.
okay. Because, but he's coming through like a little bit younger, which is interesting. He looks at
Okay.
his prime, like he liked the way he looked. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
He
yes,
was
he
a
did.
little, he was a little vain, and I would say the ladies did love him. Okay, because I'm getting
Yes.
that he was a charmer, but do not cross him. Let me tell you, you crossed him, and now he was. I would say he had deep faith. Okay. Like there was a deep faith in him
Mhm.
and he believed that he could do anything. Like he really
Oh,
could. Yeah.
absolutely.
Like he did not feel any blocks. He did not feel any, there was nothing. And so I think there's like a reason why he's coming through to you is because like he's saying like he wants to give you that gift, right? Of he did not have any like things that would hold him up. Like he felt like he could do anything. Okay.
Yeah,
Sometimes
no
to a point of
blocks.
ridiculousness. And you actually, his personality and yours are very different. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Oh yeah,
Um,
very much so. Yeah.
Now he's telling me, he, now he's funny. Now I sometimes take on the personality of the person. So what we did before was definitely coming through from a different channel. Now we're going to the other channel. As you can see, we kind of go in
Hmm.
reverse. Okay.
Hmm.
So this
Hmm.
is, we're going into all different realms of the different abilities going on here. Now, all right, you got to slow down. He keeps talking to me so fast, and I'm just like, he's excited, right? Okay, stop.
Okay.
You need to slow down, right? Okay. He's interrupting me. I was on a roll about you, and now he's interrupting me. I don't know what he's holding up, but they're very decorated. They almost look like they're like an instrument. They're
Maraca?
yeah, yeah.
The
He's
maraca.
holding one up,
The maracas,
but
yeah.
he's saying something to me about something ceremonial about them or something celebratory. I don't know what they're used for, but like
Mhm.
he's just holding one up and it's very, very decorated and it's almost like a reddish tone, but it's got paintings all around it.
Mhm.
Okay. So I don't know if this was his or he's trying to give me like, I love when people come through from the other side with customs that I don't know because sometimes I don't know like what they're trying to like tell me.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Stop. He's just like, he's going now. He does look like a little old Italian man, but he's speaking
A little
Spanish.
old
Okay.
Cuban man. He's a little
Yeah.
Cuban man. Yeah.
Okay. Did he ever have a mustache?
All his life.
Okay, because he's coming through going like this, and he's telling
Yeah.
me that you are not doing that right.
Doing what right? My
Your
mustache?
mustache. Yes. He's saying
Okay.
it's a little too like over here. Like
Thin.
he's giving me a very critique of the facial hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have different vibes, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get you. I get you. Fine.
He wants the more
Gonna-
traditional
Well, that's up to
mustache.
him. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And I don't know if he's talking about a back molar in his mouth or your mouth, but there is dental work that needs to be done.
I
So,
might have been his mouth because my
okay.
mouth's
Did
just
he have
fine.
some mouth issues or dental issues?
He had a bunch of stuff going on. Yeah.
Okay, because he's saying there was an infection in his
Hmm.
mouth that could have
Hmm.
led to a bunch of other things. Okay, so he's
Yeah.
telling me that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't.
because
Yeah.
I'm feeling an infection throughout his whole system, and
Hmm.
I'm getting a lot of like his system just wasn't repairing properly, and he's also showing me some hypertension as well and some fluid around the heart area. Okay,
And
so I'm getting
his stuff. Yeah.
yes,
On
his
his.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then
And he still lived into his late 80s.
oh no, but he was not well. I could tell you that he was not healthy. Okay, but he
Hmm.
still lived. And but he keeps pointing to his mouth. That's where it started, he's telling me.
Okay.
That's where a lot of
Good
his
to know.
health issues started. Okay, so he's telling me that. Now, he is with somebody on the other side that also had a little, I wouldn't say full-blown Alzheimer's, but a little bit of dementia. Okay,
Yes.
so like having some, and they're standing right behind him. All
Hmm.
right. So who is that to him? What's the
Grandma.
relation to him?
That's his wife. That's his wife, my grandma.
Well, she's standing there almost annoyed with him. She's just like, all right, let
Nothing
him
has
talk.
changed.
Just let him go.
Nothing.
Let him talk.
Nothing has changed.
Okay. She's just
Okay.
standing there almost like she's like he needs to be the star of the show. Let him
Uh-huh.
go. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But he's has these things in his hand and he keeps going like this. So I'm assuming that means, see, I try it on because I'm not going to say to you what does it mean? I'm feeling like it's a celebratory like thing. Okay. That's what I'm
Mhm.
getting. Like something's coming up. But he has two in his hands and he's only ringing one, which means to me that you're not at that level that you need to be at. Okay. So he's ringing the one for the show, but there's another one in his hand that's blue, one's red, and they have
Mhm.
all the paintings, but he's not ringing the blue one yet.
Okay.
So that means to me, I'm interpreting that. So I'm showing you what I'm talking about before. It means there's a whole other pathway, is what he's telling you about that hasn't even been like you know, versed yet. Hasn't
Opened yet.
really been. That's right.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, whew, he is, he's a
He's a
lot of
lot.
energy. Yes. Okay. Um, he's also mentioning something about his one hand. Okay. So I don't know if he had a trouble opening his hand at one point or arthritis in
I
the one
want.
hand,
I'm sure. I'm
but he
sure.
was frustrated that he couldn't like maybe hold a cigar with one hand because he would shake a little bit. And I'm
Hmm.
getting something he was frustrated about the hand or a carpal tunnel in his hand or something with his hand not opening.
Hmm.
Um, okay. You're being funny now. Yeah, he's being funny. He's telling me, okay, like he's going too fast. He's going too fast. He's just,
You could just tell him to be quiet. It's okay. It's all right.
he wants to talk to you because he said he's been trying to get through a couple of times and he didn't get to say everything he needed to say.
Okay.
So he's been frustrated.
Okay.
Okay, okay. He's making a joke. Okay, I don't know how to put this joke, but I'm just going to tell you. He had a specific type of underwear that he used to wear that was very
Hmm.
specific. Okay.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
he's like, if you would be so much more comfortable if you chose the underwear that I wear and you have to wear those things or not wear them at all. He's kind of going off about that. And he's saying you should really have listened to me about that. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And he's saying
Yeah.
that, yeah, he's saying sometimes you still get a little messy with the laundry, but okay, he's okay with that. Right. I know. He's just walking around your house.
What?
He's walking around your house. He's looking at you. And he's
Okay.
saying he's saying he's been trying to connect with you many times, but sometimes you write it off as it's not him, or you disregard it, or you're not paying
Okay.
attention. And he's
Uh-huh.
saying he
Uh-huh.
wants you to talk to him more,
Okay.
right? Um, he's also showing me an old, like, I don't know if it was a recliner chair, an old lazy boy chair, but it looked like a real ratty chair that like you pulled aside and the thing came up. Did you get
Hmm.
rid of this chair or did it stop like swiveling or what happened to this chair?
That was his chair. I mean,
Yeah, where'd it
no,
go? He misses his
no,
chair.
I'm sure he misses his chair, but we're talking about 20 years ago. I
I
don't know where his
know. He's
chair
still telling you
is.
he wants his chair. I don't know what to tell you. That's what they talk about. They miss certain things.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. And
Hmm.
he liked his meat. Okay. Because I keep getting steaks. I keep smelling
He
steaks.
did. He did. Towards the end,
Yeah.
he couldn't eat it anymore, but yeah.
Eh, So he's complaining about that too.
Wow, this is just basically Festivus from Seinfeld. It just
Yeah.
the complaints come in, the
Well, isn't that if you
grievances,
had a conversation with him, wouldn't he be talking about this stuff?
airing of the grievances. Yes.
Yes. That was his personality. He's just telling you all the things he needs to say.
Okay.
He didn't get
Okay.
to, yeah.
Fair
It's
enough.
not
Fair enough.
profound. I know.
Not at all.
No. But this is what conversations from the other side are like.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Yeah. Yeah.
they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he is giving you an overarching umbrella message
Uh huh.
that you're stuck.
Yeah. Similar to what you said. Hmm.
Well, maybe I'm supposed to help you get there.
I think maybe that might be the case. Maybe that might be the case.
Is
And
there
I have to
something
find it.
that your dad used to wear, like a pendant or a
Yeah.
chain or something that you have now?
I don't have it now, but
Okay.
I know, but he's alive, so he's still wearing it.
No, I'm sorry. I I messed up.
Oh,
Your
Grandpa?
yes. Anything that somebody gave you?
He doesn't. It wasn't him, but Grandma.
Okay, because there's like a gold chain or a gold pendant. Was it a
It's a pen.
cross?
It's not a. It's not a cross that I remember.
Okay, because
That
somebody's
at least I
showing
don't have
me.
it.
That's
I don't
okay.
have it.
Somebody is showing me that it must be somebody else coming through. I see an actual gold cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah.
That's okay.
Grandma.
Just write it.
Grandma
Just
had
write it
some.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just write it down. And I'm also getting something with a piece of ruby jewelry, ruby or garnet, because I'm getting a red piece of jewelry. So
Okay.
it could be a ring, it could be earrings, but you have to ask somebody else about that.
Yeah.
And then the name Sylvia is coming in too. Sylvie,
Sylvia.
Sylvan, Sylvia, Sylvania, something like a weird SYL name. Okay, just write it down.
Okay.
Well, you have the
Oh,
recording, so.
yeah. Yeah. I'll look it up. Okay. What does Sylvia want? Or
I
is
don't know
that
yet. But also, he's telling me about a specific record.
okay?
Did you ever keep a piece of vinyl that, like, did you ever keep an old record?
I have. I mean, I have some records, but
He's telling me one of them is worth quite a bit of money.
oh, probably my mom has it still. I don't have those. My mom
Yeah.
probably has it.
He's telling me don't get rid of those records.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair
No,
enough.
some of them are just like,
Garbage. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
garbage.
common.
But there is one that is like a memorabilia piece or something that is,
Worth some
he said,
money.
yes.
He's funny that okay. He's hilarious, man. He's
Why?
so because he's the I mean, I get it. I get the money is not a main driving force for me anymore.
Right.
So, if I have it, great. I have a lot of collectibles that I'm like, oh, cool, they're worth something, but whatever, kind of thing. It's not something that drives me by any stretch. So, I used to be the guy that would go hunting. I'm like, Mom, what records do you have? I need to know. Like, I would not even. I wouldn't even bother with. I have too many other things going on in my life to worry about. But it's good to know. I'll make sure not to throw them away.
It's one record.
Yeah,
And I believe it
but
has almost like a faded green sleeve or something because it's like a
okay,
light green
hmm
sage.
okay.
Oh, and he's telling me Colorado. So I don't know if you're going to be going to Colorado or something's coming up with Colorado, but he's mentioning to me that you're going to be going there.
Okay, I'm sure. All right, that's
Yeah.
great. I love Colorado. I would
And
love to
I don't know
go.
if it's like a conference or a trade show, you're meeting a bunch of other people in your industry, but it looks like it's like in a big lodge or something.
Okay, all right. That might be a thing. Um, I don't want to take any more of your time with this because I mean, this is basically you've given me a free reading, so I didn't want all of this. It's just a lot of
No,
stuff
wait,
came through
he's not done though. I can't stop him. Hold on. He's not done.
because I
He's
have
not.
one question. I only have one question for you, but I'll ask afterwards.
Just he's showing me the number seven. Okay. So the seventh of a month, July, or he
Okay.
just showed me the number seven. So it's going to be significant as to when you're in that level, when you're going for that new thing, there's going to be a very specific sign or symbol connected to either the logo of the place or something with like a big seven. So I just
Okay. Big
wrap it
seven.
up.
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, one
Um.
more thing, and then he's done.
uh
Edwards or first name Edward or Eddie
First name
or last. It could be last name too. Edwards.
because Robert is Robert Edward Grant.
And who's that again?
That was the Great Pyramid guy.
Oh, is there a musician you know with the name Eddie?
A musician? I don't know
Yeah,
many musicians. I don't know. I don't know a lot of
famous
musicians.
person with the name Eddie or Edward, last name Edwards. Just write it down. It's fine.
Edwards. Okay. Edwards. No. John Edwards is the only one that I haven't spoken to on the show yet. So
It's not. No, it's not John Edwards.
it's
It's the first
Edwards.
name Eddie.
It's
Eddie
first
with an
name Eddie.
IE. Eddie, first name IE, not Ed. They don't go by Edward. They go by
And
Eddie.
this is somebody I know.
I don't know if you know them. He's just telling me that.
I literally know. I know one. I have two Eddies in my contact list. So I don't know a lot of Eddies.
Okay, so who are the two Eddies that you
Oh,
know?
nobody. Like nobody. They don't even know them. The names are just in my contact list from God knows how many years ago. So I don't even
Oh,
recognize them.
you don't even know who they are. Okay. This person I feel could be coming on the show.
Okay.
Okay.
So look
And
for an Eddie.
I feel like if somebody connects with you, he could have a really big following or something very interesting. That's somebody you want to have on. So he's telling me make
Okay.
sure you get Eddie on. If somebody submits with that name, make sure you get them on.
Okay. Fair. All
Not
right. All right.
Eddie, not Edwards, not Ed.
Uh-huh.
Eddie. Like
Eddie has
Eddie
to be
Vedder.
Eddie,
Yeah,
like
Eddie.
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Okay. The only question I have for you is about my streaming service. Because when you said that I was going to go back to filmmaking,
Hmm.
it's exactly what's happening. I launched the streaming platform. That's Netflix for spirituality. And we are building sets in the back of our studio and we're creating our own original shows. And I'm going to be doing movies and documentary series and all that kind of stuff. I'm already started in production on certain things like that. That is where my focus is. That's where
Hmm.
I want to go, is I want to go down
Hmm.
this road. Anything that comes through about that.
I think I gave you everything on that.
Pretty much. So it's all, yeah, it's,
Yeah. I mean,
it's
I
going to
told you
do
about it before you told me about it.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Netflix, I've heard the Netflix thing probably a dozen times from different channels and
Mhm.
psychics, that they are going to come knocking, but I don't know when.
I don't agree.
What?
I don't
Wendy?
agree that they're going to come knocking. No.
Oh, I'm going to go knocking on their door?
I feel like there's something from your team is reaching out. I don't feel like they're going to come knocking.
To Netflix? Okay. All
It
right.
feels more like you're making something that may
Mhm.
be on another platform, and then it's more like a syndication, or it's like something where they're also taking it on.
Oh, in other words, we make an original show that they want, like, hey,
Right.
we want to license it for
Yes.
Netflix,
Correct.
kind of thing. And we do a
I don't
show
agree
that's
with, I'm sorry, I completely don't agree with 12 other people said. I don't. I don't
fair
go,
enough. Fair enough.
yeah. Yeah.
No, that's fair. No, they were saying that there was going to be some sort of Netflix deal. They didn't say the specifics of it. Like either they would come calling, but some sort of Netflix deal where I would be on Netflix or a show would be on Netflix or something along those lines.
Well, yeah. I just don't think it's going to come the way you think it's going to come.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And
Um,
seven is connected to that. Just so you know, could be the month of
okay.
July, 7 months. But I
Okay.
feel like I just have to tell you what I'm getting on this.
Thank you, Marissa, for this, by the way. It's really sweet of
Yes.
you.
See,
Very sweet of
you've hit the ceiling with Next Level Soul. I feel like it's going to stay where it is for a while, but I don't feel like that's the project that's going into the future.
you. Oh, you mean the podcast?
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
podcast is it's gonna be kind of like that thing that always is there or is gonna be there for a while, but it's like there is a kind of a thing with it where this streaming platform is where, and my filmmaking and spiritual space, that's where it's gonna kind of blow up. Um, that's where I'm seeing it. That's where I'm hoping for because I'm really enjoying it and really want to go down that road. But again, there's that thing that's just like,
What I see with no, this is
tell me.
a feature film. This is
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
different what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Next Level Soul. When I say Next Level Soul, it's my streaming platform. So I'll make a feature film that would probably live on my streaming platform or license it out or things like that as well. But there's a couple of those projects already kind of in the works. Um, there's a book that I wrote years ago called Shooting for the Mob, which is
Okay.
about my me almost making a $20 million movie for the mafia, and I was there and I met like I was flown out to LA. I met the biggest movie stars. It's this amazing story of how not to follow your dreams. That's a dream of mine is to make that into a movie, but I want to do it completely on my own and control everything
Oh,
myself and do it, for a couple $1 million or something like that, $2 or $3 million and make it myself.
well, we're a mob town here. So if you've
Yeah.
heard of the Buffalino family and yeah, this is where it all originated in our so the
Yeah.
Irishman, like all that,
Yeah.
all kind of
And
originated
they all
there.
retired down in Miami, so I'm very well aware.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
uh, but yeah, that's a movie that I have in my head, but I don't think that's going to
it's not
happen
that one
anytime
that I
soon.
see.
Okay, so it's something else. Documentary or narrative?
I feel it's like a hybrid of something. I don't think it's like
Mhm.
one specific thing,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's a new project. That's all I could tell you.
Thank you for that amazing amazing reading that you gave me. A lot of stuff was everything was very, very accurate. You definitely have a sharp tool, without question. You're very intuitive in the way you speak, and you were telling me things that there's no possible way you would have known about. So I appreciate you doing that, and hopefully everybody who watched it could see a little bit of what you do and how you do it. You're very, yeah, you're on and it comes like this. It moves very, very quickly. So I wanted to thank you. With that said, I wanted to ask you a question in regards to what's going on in humanity's consciousness and
Mm.
humanity's journey, soul journey, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
The world seems to be upside down a bit lately,
Yeah.
and a lot of stuff is going on. Is there anything that have you ever tuned into,
Hmm.
like humanity's future, like where we're going, and I don't need to know what stock to invest in, but just generally,
Yeah.
why it's happening and where do you see the rest of this year? This decade's been insane, the
Mm.
most insane decade of my life and probably of your life as well,
Yeah.
as far as what's happening in the world from 2020 on. What's happening for the rest of this year, what's going to happen for the rest of this decade, and where we're all going. Because there's a lot of people who are afraid of what's happening because there's a lot of chaotic energy going on right now.
And every month I do a monthly forecast where I tap into that energy, and there's like a theme and a hero's journey that we're all going
Mhm.
on. So like the overarching collective energy is what's affecting us like on a top level, but then it goes all the way down to our personal vessel, right? We talk about the
Mhm.
body. A lot of people forget about the body. So I think where we're being called and why a bunch of us that were doing readings before for a long time, a bunch of us in this industry that have been doing it 20, 30 years are now adding the somatics because we as individuals need to go through our own darkness to elevate consciousness and to move toward our mission and our purpose here.
Hmm.
And each person that does that is able to affect so many people to elevate consciousness. So it is a personal responsibility. A lot of people get caught up with, I tell people, if you want an instant energy upgrade, like instantly, turn off the news for 5 days.
Yes.
Don't, like think about what you're speaking. Think about what you're talking about, the content you're consuming. Think about what sort of words you're using. All of that may seem minute to people, but it really is. It comes down to personal responsibility. And if you're seeing yourself playing out patterns, overproduction, guilt, shame patterns, trauma patterns, all of that stuff, addiction patterns, lowest level. And if we're staying in fear, if each individual stays in that fear, the nervous system shuts down. It either goes into collapse, fight or flight or freeze, and you're not moving anywhere. So it's just a cycle of rumination and worry and fear. And what does that do? That brings consciousness down. So I'm asking people individually, get on your path and do the difficult work. If you're not willing to do it, then you're responsible for where this planet is headed. If you're not doing your own personal work, stay clear of instant gratification. Stay clear of that. Advice, instant gratification. It's time to get back to your own center, your own GPS of your own soul, and know where you're going because you came here with the mission. You came here with the purpose. You came here to do something for this planet. And there's no accident that you were born at this time to be able to influence people and be able to make
Hmm.
an impact in the world. And so even though you're doing your mission and your purpose, there's still more to do. And you have the personal responsibility to release your energy that's at capacity right now. You can't move past this. And
Hmm.
so you have the responsibility to go through discomfort and uncomfortable things within your body to move that energy, access those stuck emotions, those stuck blocks, those stuck energy points, release them so that you can now expand into your purpose
Hmm.
more, into more well-being, more consistency, more visibility, more trust, more vulnerability with the world. That's always scary for a lot of people that are being seen on a higher level, especially with top level leaders,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
us knowing this stuff, people being in this industry a long time, we have the responsibility to bring people to inspire people, not to go and fix anymore, not to go and give people shortcuts, not to give people cliff notes, but we have the responsibility to lead people to their missions and their purpose to lead the planet. That's what my responsibility is. It's not about readings anymore. It's
So
not.
then, so then what do you see happening for the rest of this year as a general scope of what like the craziness that's been going on in the world with the wars and the economic strife and
Yes.
and
Yes.
and, and pandemics and all that kind of stuff? Where do you see?
Right. So the thing about it is that each person, each leader, each person leading every country, right,
Hmm.
has their own free will
Hmm.
every day, every thought change every day. So there's going to be a lot that seems to be moving in a positive direction for a few months, and then we're going to see a lot of quick turns. So there's going to be like the wild mouse ride where like you think you're going in a good direction, and then there's going to be a loop. And it really, we're going to be tested this year, the next 7 months. That's another seven, but the next 7 months up until September of this year.
Hmm.
Okay. And there's going to be some big developments with space too, but as I see that coming. So I'm getting some really exciting developments with rockets or space or some sort of, you know,
Contact? Is it contact?
with like aliens.
I guess. I
I
don't know.
know
I'm
it's
keeping
more
it.
like mechanics of getting to space and what we can do in space.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we're going back to the moon apparently, and
I don't know if this is connected to any specific person. I'm just saying that I see something like a big historical thing happening.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like where we're going is so much more in our hands than we realize individually.
Hmm.
And if we stay
Regar-
stuck to the TV and not do anything to move our lives forward and not influence people in a positive way, then we're contributing to that.
so what you're saying is that if you do your own work, it can actually, I guess, not shelter you, but it just kind of, you look at, I've been telling this to people a while, is I want to be the observer of what's happening and not a participant in many ways of what's happening around the world. So this negative, like I've always said, like during the Great Depressions, during wars, during horrible times in humanity, some of the greatest companies ever built, some of the happiest,
Mhm.
most, it's not like negative for everybody all the time. During the pandemic, there was a lot of obviously death and horrible things that happened, but there was also a tremendous amount of positive things that happened. So not everybody is affected by the outside world in the same way. So you actually have the ability to kind of walk your own path, kind of regardless of what's happening around you. Is that kind of what you're saying?
The test of sometimes when there is darkness is that darkness will put you into that state of collapse, that state of
Hmm.
freeze, that state of worry, that state of fear. And then that's winning.
Hmm.
You have a personal responsibility at your level to lead in a greater way, but you're going to
Hmm.
have to move through the dark forest to do that.
Hmm.
But that's going to affect, could affect millions of people if you do that, right?
Hmm.
But it's not about, I think over the past 10 years, a lot of healers, a lot of light workers, a lot of people in the transformational space were always, you know, putting their hand out and down, being like, come on, fix yourself. Come on, change. Come on, do
Hmm.
the work. A lot of us that have generational trauma, we want to fix our family members. We want to fix our friends. We want to do the fixing.
Hmm.
And that's going to slow us down. People are going to be called. They're going to be ready. They're going to be called to evolve into a much greater, each individual person on this planet that's here right now, especially people doing the work in the transformational space. People are going to be called that are working in 9 to 5 jobs. Say, hey, you're going to be called to make an impact. They're feeling the call. They're hearing the call. How are they going to step into that without the fear of, oh, if I leave my 9 to 5 job, not being able to support myself? They have to do the body work to be able to increase their capacity to not have that just remain a fantasy and a calling, but to actually do it. It takes a lot of resilience.
When you say body work, can you kind of just dive into
Mhm.
that a little bit of like what that actually means for somebody?
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they're stressed or they're looking for answers, they'll go get a reading, right? And I say, no, don't do that anymore. You're not gonna, it's not gonna help you. At this where the world is at now, if you're doing the work though, and you want to look into your pathway, the pathway isn't cyclical. There's many roads. So that's a good time to get guidance, but not for instant gratification stuff if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? A lot of people now will be like, oh, I'm stressed, or I have a lot of fear, or I burnt myself out, or I'm overproducing. Let me go get a Reiki session. Let me go get EMDR. Let me go get a sound healing. Let me go and get a hands on healing. Let me go to a spa for a weekend. Not going to work.
Hmm.
Those things will only work at a deep level if your body can process them and if the therapeutic release is there. If you're not doing any work, you go into a massage, stressed out because of traffic in your life and fight or flight, you'll feel a little bit better 20 minutes after, but it's not going to be doing the therapeutic work that it needs to do. So those modalities, one-time modalities, great sprinkles on top of the ice cream. But
Hmm.
if you do the body work and you start moving that energy, then those modalities could really help with big releases. So the work that I'm talking about is somatic healing, and somatic just means of the body, that you're not processing your healing through intellectualizing it or getting more knowledge, because all the knowledge in the world of why you are the way you are is not going to fix your emotional triggers. It's not going to fix your capacity. It's not going to make you expand anymore past your capacity to do so. You were born with a certain capacity, and because of life stressors and traumas, you have a limit. No matter how much money you make, no matter what type of leader you are, no matter how much influence you have, there's always the desire for your innermost desires to be kind of congruent with the outer world. And so there's desires within you that we're talking about that they're not congruent yet. So what you really, really desire requires more trust, requires more vulnerability, requires to be seen at a bigger level. And what do those things do? They open you up to more criticism, fear, and judgment. So then the nervous system says, hey, yo, we're not going there because that wasn't safe a long time ago.
Yeah.
So we're going to tell you stories of why you just don't have enough time, energy, or money to do it right now. But next year, you'll get to it. Right. So the body work is that we're releasing activation at the level of the body first. We're not having to replay any traumas. We're not having to reprocess any memories, nothing like that. But we're really releasing and resetting the vagus nerve. So it's a lot of vagus nerve exercises that are 60-second exercises that
Mhm.
allow your body to release stuck activation without you having to think about a thing. But it requires consistency and it will bring up stuff. It will make your body safe enough to release that stuff that it's been holding down through overproducing,
Mhm.
because that's what we do. Because we don't want to go there, we stay busy, we stay productive, we stay go, 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 next thing, next thing, next thing. And that's really just a fight or flight activation response. It doesn't allow us to really enjoy the next step of where we're headed as leaders.
Um, this has been such an amazing conversation, Marissa. I mean, it's been. I wasn't expecting where we went.
Yes.
It's. I don't think you expected where we went. We went to 1,000 different places. I think this is a very healing conversation for a lot of people who are going to listen to it. And I truly appreciate your time. I'm going to ask you now a few questions I ask all of my guests.
Mhm.
What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
It's the ability to really enjoy and savor and be present with every moment.
If you had a chance to go back in time and speak to little Marissa, what advice would you give her?
Sky's the limit.
And what advice would she give you?
It's basically a deserving and self worth thing that no matter what I had been through,
Hmm.
that I still I can move through it and deserve the best in life. Yeah. And to not let it hold you back.
How do you define God or source?
I believe that all the world's religions are like colleges.
Mhm.
So everybody goes to a different school, but they all get the same degree and they all learn differently.
Mhm.
So I believe that every one of the world's spiritual practices, that people are devoted to their practice and they really have in their heart a desire to connect with God in a spiritual way, that they're just different colleges and it leads all to the same place. It leads all to love. And I believe that every pathway is valid and relevant.
What is love?
God.
If you could ask God or source one question, what would it be?
Why do we have to come back and do it again? all over and over.
Again, again, and again. Um, and what is the ultimate purpose of life?
I would go back to love again. Love in a sense where you can fully be vulnerable in this world, fully trust your experience here, and give to another without any fear, without any worry, without any protection. It's really to be free of protections.
And where can people find out about more about you and the amazing work you're doing in the world?
Just my name, MarisaLizaPell.com, Liza, LizaPell.com. And I also have a free 3-part audio series with
Hmm.
my story that people can listen to on Spotify. And the link is probably in your show notes or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, they can get that and listen to a little bit more of an in-depth part of why I decided to change to do this type of work I'm doing now and what I've learned along the way, and a few breakthrough lessons that people could just put their headphones in and listen to.
And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
The people that are staying behind right now are going to stay behind, and it's not your responsibility to pull them up. Go save yourself.
Interesting. Interesting. Marissa, thank you so much for this conversation. I can't wait for you to come to Austin and we can have another one in person.
Yes.
It would be so amazing. But I truly appreciate what you're doing in the world. And I love your no nonsense East Coast
No
kind of
nonsense.
like no nonsense in your face, like, listen, you got to
Yeah.
do the work, girl, kind
Yeah.
of vibe, because it's something that is very needed. And that's the only way we're going to grow. So I appreciate you and everything you're doing to awaken this planet. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.